From Breezinout, I'm Ty Brown, and this is the Doubter Series, a look into the minds of modern, everyday, extraordinary thought leaders and how they managed to overcome adversity, both internal and external, on their path to sublimity. Alright, so I'm here with my man Rob Owens, the Rob Owens. I've known this man for quite a while. Yeah. It's so funny just because we've gone back since, I'm talking about, I was in college. I was working at Hibbett Sports on Camp Creek. And you would come in there damn near every day, I would say. Yeah. And it was just like, I was like, man, who is this cat, man? He comes in here. I know he's a trainer. He's fit, clearly. But it's a bunch of big ballers, big dogs running around up on Camp Creek. So I was like, this guy must be something. And I know we had a contact. Every time you come in the store, we converse and exchange and everything. You was always cool, man. Always a real one. Always a real one. Likewise. And that just never changed. But when I went off and, started life and everything, it just kind of, I stopped working at Hibbett.
Of course.
At that point, I'm just like, now I go on Instagram one day and I see this random promotion and it's like, I'm like, I know this guy, man. I know this guy. It's a beer promotion. And if you refresh my memory, the company that you were doing, Scotch Porter, yes. And you're grooming and got the commercial going on and everything. And it's just like, this man is really just out here. And then I do a little bit more research on you, and I see you started a brand, Lasso, and you and your team. It's a clothing apparel brand, athletic focused. And then, of course, you got another brand you're focusing on that's related to, fathers. And we can go further into that later on. But you got a lot of stuff you're working on, and you're a very ambitious guy. And I think that's something that speaks a lot into just the way you were raised, your own personal just code, your habits, what you instill in yourself. And, the brand and what I represent, is Breeze in, Breeze out, Breezinout. I'm all about upliftment and seeking to uplift self with the goal of lifting others. Like, that should be all of our purpose, to kind of each one teach one.
For sure.
And I see you doing that. And I know you've done that because I met you before you got to this point.
Appreciate that.
And you always like that. So I kind of want to go into that a little bit more. If we can dive in.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So I appreciate the intro, man. I don't deserve it, but I appreciate that. Just doing what I feel. Is my life work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned promotion, right? And so you talked about Hibbett Sports. So that particular promotion was different from the type of promotion I was doing when we probably first connected. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you remember, this guy named, was it Chris or Nick? Maybe it was both. They worked in Hibbett Sports. Was like a manager.
Yeah. So Nick.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah.
Nick King. And then you had my man D Swift, man.
Yeah. So we actually were doing some stuff in the promotion space, kind of taking advantage of the hot Atlanta, right, or the nightlife scene. And we had this promotion group, man, was doing working with some different venues, and so that was cool.
Nice.
Looks, man. Like, had a really good time doing that. I think it was called One and the Same, and something like that.
I did hear about this.
But that's that little promotion group we was working with. And then also I was doing some personal training at the time. I was probably either just started working with LA Fitness or transitioning out. Mm-hmm. But I just started actually got my fitness certification to start on that path of entrepreneurship in that regard. So man, and I appreciate you. When I came in, there was always love. When I pulled up to Hibbett, I was buying little stuff here and there.
Exactly.
Always trying to stay fresh in the gym. Because I mean, to be honest, when I first started working out, I didn't care what I put on. It was cut off shirt. It was anything. I was just like in the jungle. I didn't even care. But I was like, I wanted to be a little more, I don't want to say presentable, but I think because I started as a professional, so to speak, or a fitness professional or a wellness coach, I just I feel like I need to clean it up a little bit. But anyway, that's why I was probably Hibbett outside all the love that I received when I pulled up.
Fashionable, but still, fit.
Fashionably fit.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. So really, we just going into your history, man. Like I said, about how you've.
That's what it was. Let me cut you off right there because if I lose my thoughts. So my history, you mentioned my upbringing, man, and that's interesting that you brought that up because I don't know if I ever really. I mean, I think about it, but I don't, right? Yeah. And so I grew up to, I would say, lower middle class parents, right? Mm-hmm. Both of my parents come from rural, counties in different states. So my mother's from South Macon, down in Georgia,
exactly.
Georgia, right? South Macon, man. I grew up actually with my grandmother for a portion of my life, and just very still connected to that red Georgia clay that exists down there, right?
Down south, raising.
Yeah, man. So like when I visit my grandmother to this day in public housing, and you know what I'm saying, like she had me for almost 2 years as a kid. Like I was really young. I used to go there for the summers as well, but I never forget that, and I still go to this day. One of my uncles, I remember he lives in a trailer, right? But that's what he wanted. That's his dream. I remember it was in Union City. Actually, my father and I went. He was like, "Yo, this is trailer that I'm looking at. I want to buy." We went and took the steps and the stairs and the deck off that trailer so it could be taken to Unadilla for my uncle. So
that's
crazy.
That's like humble risings, man. Like you clearly. Your family, I mean, you don't come from a glamorous background.
Nah, not at all.
But it seems like it's a hard working background. It's all about
my parents were young. They joined the military. They met in the military. My mother retired after almost 40 years. My father retired after double salute, right? To both my parents, right? My father retired after about 20 years. And speaking of my father, with that manual labor piece, he was a master mechanic. So it's just like, people see me and like, oh, I grew up working on cars. Wow. I grew up farming. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up like doing manual labor. Yeah, my grandfather has about 40 or so acres of land in Virginia that he raised his family off of. I'm talking about I've done everything from, raising cattle, you know what I'm saying? Wow. So look, cattle, hogs, chickens, rabbits. We used to cut wood, bale hay, out till land. So
all of that. I mean, you're doing so many things. Like, is that playing to that has to play into just how your mindset, your work ethic, exactly, just who you are. That's really. I think that's a good segue into just like how you, in your past, you faced considerable odds, clearly.
Right.
But what did you establish within yourself? How did you manage to power through and overcome those situations and your circumstances?
Yeah, so I think for me, if I could take anything from that, it's just like, I knew I didn't want to live that life forever, so to speak, right? It's like I knew that generationally there was opportunities that superseded what was available to maybe my parents and my grandparents, right? So I wanted to, for one, I guess, break that cycle, if you will, that generational cycle. I wanted to be able to elevate,
Yes.
So actually, I'm first generation college student for my family. When I think about
Big props.
Appreciate
Big
that.
Props. Same here, man. Same here.
You went to
GSU,
right?
Yes, sir. Georgia State.
The Georgia State, right?
The Georgia State.
I went to the Alabama State University.
Oh, that's nice.
Montgomery, yeah. We actually have my homecoming this weekend.
HBCU.
Yeah, for sure. All that. I wish more of us would attend HBCUs, but that's a whole different conversation, right?
Yes. No, that needs to be a focus, but we will get into that at some point. I think it's definitely worth continuing to drive home, and it's an important matter to kind of redirect the future and what our culture and what we represent and our potential and where we can go.
And what communities we're building, low key. I mean, but again, another conversation, right?
Yes.
You asked about a time in my life and where I managed to power through some adversity, so to speak, right? I'd honestly say one of those defining moments for me was as a young father. My daughter and she'll be 4 in a couple weeks, right? But
happy birthday! What's her name?
Taylor. Yeah, man, Taylor. So her mom and I, man, we just weren't planning childbirth, but you do adult things, and adult things happen, right? No, but nah. So much love to my daughter and her mom. But the point I want to get to is there was a time in which I had recently started a career, or I thought was going to be a longer standing career initially, to some degree, with Atlanta Public Schools, and some different things happening in that space, and I was fortunate enough to be elevated really quickly, and I just really attribute it to just being involved with my daughter, and just taking on some different responsibilities. But I feel like if I didn't do that, things would be very different. But saying that to say, I started Atlanta Public Schools. I ended up resigning, and within 30 days of resigning, I received an opportunity to work with my current company, Lasso.
Nice.
So I started off as the executive assistant to the CEO, and now I'm the COO of the company. Wow. So it's going on 3 years. Huge. And I'm also one of the co-founders of our current product offering. So we start off as a medical device company, but the point I want to extract from that is, everything was full circle for me, right? Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about how I started from the fitness community. We didn't really talk about how I started my first nonprofit in 2007. Mm-hmm. Started my second nonprofit in 2009.
You can elaborate on that. I mean, we can get into that.
Yeah, we can.
I'm curious.
But what I want to touch on is the fact that, I did the nonprofit work. I did some work as a wellness coach in the fitness community, and to me, I didn't reach the level of success that I aspired to reach. And I think the biggest takeaway from that was because I ran those as passion projects, not as a business. And so, but what did happen is the network that I created, a number of people that I was able to touch, not for myself, but just touch for the work, just with the work that we was doing, but other people that, so outside the people we were serving, but people that came into to my life, that helped to get me through some challenging times, right? Exactly. And so, yeah, man. So the biggest takeaway for me was do the work, that you feel like you're led to do, mm-hmm. and then the results thereof will just kind of take you,
wow. Naturally.
Yeah.
Organically, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Man, no, that's big. I appreciate that, Rob.
No,
I think,
for sure.
And, people are always looking for, guidance and trying to figure out what's the meaning of life, and I think it's like you just put it in a really good song. Like you kind of flow with it and find
mm-hmm.
let your passion guide you, and it'll naturally lead into whatever your purpose is.
Yeah.
No, that's
which ultimately leads you to prosperity, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So you got passion, purpose, and prosperity.
I like that.
Yeah.
Man. I like that. So, you've obviously gone through it, but has there been a time when you've been sure about, a successful outcome? I know you kind of, mm-hmm. you spoke on this with the Atlanta Public School, and you working in that, and you expected the future, but your future be brighter in that.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else that you were working on, and you were just certain about success, and it just didn't go as planned?
Yeah, man. College, undergrad, so I went to school for computer information system, CIS major, right? Mm-hmm. And, I was on Dean's List, did fairly well. I had a rough semester, I'll be candid with that, but I ended up.
College is a fun, it's crazy life.
Yeah. But I ended up, graduated, obviously, right? Yeah. And I interned at for the government. And so I was like, yo, I'm a shoe-in for it. Both my parents, former military. I was in Marine Corps, ROTC, all through high school. I was like, I interned for the government. I know, without a doubt, right, when I get out of undergrad, I'm going to have me a job back at my internship or with the government. Because I was like, I didn't want to be owned by the government. I wanted to work for them. I didn't want to join the military. But I was like, but the benefits are so great. And so I got out of undergrad. Jobless to them, I was hard pressed, to find work within my field, and it was because, a lot of these companies were looking for college educated individuals, but they had on the job training. So these ITT techs, these DeVries that were mm-hmm. offering a 2-year degree with 2 years of experience, they were destroying us with 4-year degrees. Yeah. And so I was like, well, that didn't work out. But saying that to say, I ended up securing a position, in finance. And
nice.
At the end of the day, to circle back to how'd I respond to it? Again, man, allow myself to be led. And I actually got a position. I'll be forever grateful to this gentleman. His name's Al Lewis. Mm-hmm. He's transitioned on, and he gave me the first opportunity. Like he was a black dude, worked in finance. He gave me a shot, man, and I feel like there was no one to give me a shot. And for him giving me a shot, man, I forever be grateful for that. And he actually called me his son. He's like, yo, you like a son to me. So you just don't understand, man. It meant so much to me.
That's huge.
Especially, and no digs on my father. I love my father. I have much respect for him. But, for me to be like a first generation college student, for him to not approve of me going to college when he wanted me to go to the military, and he just basically was like, yo, you're on your own, and didn't really support that decision. It meant a lot, for someone to believe in me, in that role, and to embrace me like as a son, but also give me a shot, to start a career, at undergrad. So
that's huge. It's like that kick, you got that good start, man. That's it. Yeah. It's all about your circle, man. You find it. Okay, no, I appreciate that. So you clearly you got the path and you know what it takes and what should drive you, but as far as like the day-to-day grind, man, because it's easy to get off track on the day-to-day grind.
Oh my God.
You get in the hustle and bustle of things and stuff don't work, and you be like totally thrown off. That's when you have to rely on certain things. So I'm kind of curious, what are some habits you've set to be your best self and, sustain a sound mind for, positive outlook on life?
Yeah, so I think it starts with positivity in the mind, right? Yes. You are a summation of your thoughts. And so for me, I like to start my day with daily affirmations, even before that. So I have in my phone, in my notes, it's like I have it pinned. And when I go to my notes, the first thing is it's like thank you, probably 6 or 8 times. It's thank. So it makes me start off with a heart and mind of gratitude and appreciation before I ask for anything. I just find things to be thankful for. I mean, it could be just like thank you for this breath that I'm breathing right now. Thank you for this roof over. Thank you for protection. So I just start off with thankfulness, man.
That's
nice though.
That's right. That's it.
I start off with just a mindset of gratitude, right? And then I also my next question I ask is, I say, Lord, what is it that you have me to take from this day? You know what I'm saying? What that looks like for me is if there's a lesson to be learned, or I just want to be open to just receiving whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So sometimes we experience things and we sometimes put our own, I guess, perception of what it's supposed to be, but it's just nah, I want to be, I just want to be
sabotaging ourselves.
Yeah. Right. So I want to be, open to whatever that may be. And then I have affirmations, man. I just, actually, I think I really got on this. I did it some time ago, but not to this level when I was pursuing my nonprofit work full time. And I used to have a wall, and it was so how you have a vision board? Yeah. I had a vision wall. Wow. And I took this paint that allows you to write, dry erase paint. So I had dry erase paint on the wall, had and around it I had a bunch of sticky notes with affirmations, you know what I'm saying, all the way around it. And I just filled in with pictures of family, friends, and I wrote different things that I want to see on there and put actual plans for the day and scheduling. So it's every time I was in my office space, that's what I would see. But present day, like I said, I have it in my phone, and so that's what I do to kind of start my mind. And I listen to, just different affirming things, whether it be praise and worship, whether it be other podcasts, whether it be other, leaders, whether it be stories of other leaders or, so.
Faith is the foundation, man.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
I agree. 100.
For sure.
Man, we appreciate that. So was there a particular moment when you felt that these habits were necessary, or did it just become natural to you? Or was it a natural thing?
I would say, again, when I stepped out, so I was working in finance. It was my second time jumping into finance. So I went from finance to education, and then I went back to, I was doing entrepreneurship for a while, but I went back into finance right before I decided to just do it full time. So when we met, I was doing the fitness. I just started to the wellness or fitness space.
Gotcha.
And I was actually using that to supplement my income because I was working. I was working as a paraprofessional. Okay. And it was a time where I was working pre-K, and they lost the funding from I think it was the government or the state. It was only state funding, whatever it may have been. I was taking home less than $1,000 a month, working 40 hours a week.
Man,
as a college graduate.
No, I don't know.
So
how
that's
you did it.
when you saw me all the time.
Yes, that's what you. That's how you did it.
I was hustling.
That's how you did it.
I was training people, man. So
man.
Yeah, shout out to entrepreneurship.
Yes,
right? So
shout
to the hustle. So that's what I was doing. To make it shake, right?
Man, you gotta make some shake, man. Yeah. That's what I tell my girl all the time. I'm gonna make something shake.
Right. So I don't know if I answered your question. I know I kind of.
No, it did. That's perfect. I appreciate that. So you clearly you got everything. You got a sound mind. You look to affirmations to keep yourself uplifted, to keep yourself inspired. So with that, I mean, you're keeping yourself inspired.
Right.
What are you doing to uplift and inspire those around you? How do you seek fulfillment in that area?
Yeah. So I think circle influence is major, right? I mean, they say your network will determine your net worth, right? And I also believe that your life is built around relationships, and it'll only be as good as the relationships that you build. And so what that looks like for me is just having these types of conversations with people like yourself, and it's just really like you said, the whole purpose of what you're doing, right? So having these types of conversations, surround myself with people that positive self-talk amongst friends and college people that support you, man. So I think if I can say anything is just the circle of influence, trying to get around other eagles, whatever that might look like, whatever you want to, other wolves, whatever you want it to be, but just circle of influence, man.
I like it.
If I can, that's the only thing I can really say is, man, I got been fortunate enough to have some brothers in my life.
Yeah, and I understand that you okay, bro.
Yeah. So I actually have two real brothers. You know what I'm saying? I have two real brothers. Shout out to my younger brothers, man. Sean Owens, John Owens. So one of them actually is working in management in the food service space, and the other he's a college student. He's a tremendous athlete, man. I think he's so they're very well to do, man. And honestly, man, so if I could just touch on that, we talk about how I don't know. So how do I touch others, man? I really just try to do it by example. Right. So if I can really to get into it, man, my little brothers, they not little, but they my young brothers, man. Like they are part of. I saw my daughter too, right? Of course, but before that came about, like I really want to be, a glowing example, of a successful man of color, for my brothers, for my family, for my daughter. And so, I just try to lead by example, I like it. Yeah.
I like it. Hey, look, I agree with you 100% on that. That's exactly how I am in a lot of ways.
For sure.
I think your actions speak louder than your words.
Right.
No, I appreciate that. So, in doing all this, I mean, you're uplifting yourself, you're trying to keep yourself reaffirmed, and you're trying to look out for others. You're doing that through your actions, but this is a tiring process, man. Like you're doing a lot in a little time. What are some ways that you're keeping yourself, reinvigorated? You're keeping yourself, refreshed during that tireless journey toward improvement. Like, how do you do that? How do you manage your distribution of work-life balance?
Yeah, man. So still, that's a work in progress, right? But I think honestly, I unplug to sometimes it takes a lot, as you talk to different people. I was making mention that to my mother recently. I was like, man, I have a lot of auxiliary conversations, and so it's just like maybe having to scale back on some of those conversations and the depth and the breadth of some of those. But I will say this. What do I do? Many little trips, like little mini vacays or what have you. I also try
weekend getaways.
Yeah, weekend, weekday. Whatever it might be 2 or 3 days, just to kind of just detox, and not in a bad way, but just to kind of, like you said, recharge. Right. I also, for me, recently is like I've told myself this for years, but I think that like physical or self-care is important. Right. So. Shout out to Groupon. I recently was like, let me go on here and find some place to get facials. Let me go get a massage. Let me go get, a specific type of physical therapy that helps to, release muscle tension. Just and so on the physical side, I've recently, and I've done it some in the past, like, Rob, like really start taking care of your body, so doing those things, like I said, on a spiritual, mental, space, I'm a spiritual guy, so I do a chin. I'm part of a church community. Shout out to Impact.
Nice.
Impact. Okay. Yeah. So I go to Impact. And even before that, I got a real dynamic brother, man. Shout out to Sean King, man. I tell you about. Yeah. I used to attend Man, let's go there. They actually just tore this facility down that he was actually he had a church called Courageous.
Really?
Man, I actually drive all the way from Noonan, Coweta County to Midtown to attend this brother to Coweta County to Courageous. It was right here on Spring and 17th. They just tore it down. I don't know what they're about to make there, but yeah, man. So
that's circle, man, circle of influence. But that speaks a lot. That speaks a lot into you and I mean, Sean King is a powerful brother, like you said. So currently, I'm going to a location called Renovation. My girlfriend introduced me to it, so I go there. It's in Atlanta. It just relocated to Cumberland. Faith is what you need to keep yourself reaffirmed. I agree, man. I agree holistically on that. So, what are your thoughts on just you speaking to your upbringing? It sounds like you've gone through a lot, but like just as a people, I mean, I know. A lot of times, our history is played into what our future is and where we currently stand. There's a lot of barriers placed upon us that makes our journey a bit more difficult. How are you feeling like about society? What do you feel the responsibility is of each individual within it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're all here. As we kind of said earlier, for purpose, right? And I think that our lives should, be bigger than ourselves, and that the things that we do today should impact the lives and generations of tomorrow, right? So again, shout out to Sean King, right? I follow him on social, man. I've been following and so social justice and equality for people of color is something that is very close to my heart, right? I also think that environmentalism is something that we should be thinking about, right? So actually kind of partnering with a gentleman I actually have a meeting with when we leave from here. His name's Jeremiah James, and he's actually working on a clothing sustainability platform.
Nice.
And so definitely, more to look forward to that.
Look forward to that, definitely. I mean, we watching these documentaries, man, talking about the world is on the verge of global warming. Yeah. And I very well believe in that stuff now. I'm all about recycling. My girlfriend has changed me around all the way. Like, I'm really working towards these things. Yeah. And I know, I'm well aware, I'm conscious of what's going on in my society.
I'm into recycling as well, bro. I recently was like, let me get the big joint. Let me get the big boy recycling joint. I'm recycling everything, Because, you get the free one. It's like, you pay $15 to get the one that's the size of your regular trash can. So my goal is like, I need to recycle as much as I throw away, or even try to consume less, So, I mean, with that, I'm with you on that, man, for sure. So,
what societal cause? I mean, is there a cause you're following that is going?
You kind of touched on a movement or a community I'm looking to create. So there's two things going on. We talked about, I'm a father, and so Dope Dads, is my other passion project, soon to be turned, business. And so what I'm doing with that is looking to create a community around of active fathers in the lives of their children, around content, around clothing, and around activations. Just very high level, man. I think that humanizing and portraying them in a light that has not been seen or has been overlooked by society as a whole. Just definitely bring some visibility to that. And another thing that I'm looking to do is shout out to my guy Tabari. He has an organization called Dope Dads Fit Club. So his vision is similar to mine, but he's looking to do it via health and wellness, right? Because just statistically, we are susceptible to just different illnesses, whether it be diabetes, whether it be colon cancer, whether it's just a number of things.
Blood pressure is crazy.
Blood pressure, hypertension, all that, yeah. So
season
facts. So partnering with him, Ty, I'm looking for a seat on that board, and I'm partnering with him on some different things as well.
Nice.
So yeah,
very nice. So, what is the one most important takeaway you'd want someone to gain from meeting you for the first and last time?
If I could put it in a sentence, it would be, I want what is best for you in your life, and whatever that looks like, that's what I want, right? And what I believe is, it's like when you want genuinely what's best for others, it's like the good, better, best, right? So they aspire to be that, and I think that will create overlap into the lives of people that are around them, right? I mean, because ultimately, I want you to be happy. Whatever that pursuit is for you to be the best person you can be. That's it. So for anybody that meets me, I just know for the first and last time, I always want what's best for you. Period.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree. It's just like you said. I mean, if you feed into others, it naturally kind of comes back to you, man. It's like kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, it's really that. I believe what you think and what you put into this earth is what comes back to you.
Yeah.
So, and then just one last thing. I mean, it's really, you've been an inspiring brother. I know you got a lot of things that you're a well-read brother, clearly. Can you tell us a quote that you live by or words that guide you through life?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to just the whole, I guess, precipice of this conversation, right? Like things that you come against that may be seen as adverse, and just overcoming those things. So for me, prayer is serenity, man. And so it's God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if you continue to read, well, it says living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, and accepting hardships as a pathway to peace. And I add to that prosperity. But yeah, man.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
that's where.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I think that's something we should all subscribe to. And Rob, this has been a great time. You are a great person. I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for spending this time. Thank you for doing good works in our world. Thank you for seeking to uplift others and just working on yourself, making yourself the best you can be so that you can be effective in doing that.
Yeah, appreciate that.
We thank you, man. We thank you, and we hope the best for you in your future endeavors. And as you continue to grow and inspire, we want you to continue to be blessed.
Nah, likewise, man, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this time to share, man, and thank you for this energy, man. It's good stuff, you know what I mean? And thank you for, being bold, and making this thing full circle, right? Like you said, I mean, this is 10 years in the making, right? God makes no mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We met each other a decade ago on some humbug stuff, and now, both college graduates, both educated,
Exactly.
men of color.
Yes.
We out here pursuing, personal and professional endeavors, creating, impacting, so shout out to you.
Thanks.
My
Appreciate
guy.
it, Rob.
For sure.
You the man, yo.